again. This marks the beginning of one of my favorite seasons, and that is dry fly on my home stream. Yes, the water is high, but its color is good, and I've already seen some really good hatching activity. And down by where I parked my truck, I also saw some good rising activity on the opposite bank over there. So I think my blood pressure definitely goes down the first time of the year that I'm making this little mini hike. But today is the first time I have tested my new skating setup, or will have tested my new skating setup away from home. This is, I brought the spay today on purpose to test the skating ability of my newest mad scientist idea. And hopefully some willing cutthroat will prove it to be a good one. So we'll see what happens. So just to put things in perspective, that rock right there is the one that I was standing on, or very near, on a number of my steelhead catches this spring. As early as 2 weeks ago, that would not even, you couldn't even see it, both because the water was all mudded up from the snow melt, but also because the water was that much higher. We are on the really good drop now to where that rock will be exposed, barring any crazy weather, which isn't forecast. That rock will be fully exposed here in less than a week. But so obviously when the steelhead were caught here, this was all shallows, and the seam that the steelhead held on was out there. But my experience here is that before the water drops much more, in fact I just saw another riser up there, before the water drops much more, the cutthroat tend to hang on this inside seam while there's still enough depth. Yep, they're rising up there. So what I intend to do, since I brought my spade today, is I'm going to quietly make myself all the way to the top of the run, because I want to test this fly that is the basic body of my normal salmon fly, but I'm calling it the unsinkable super skater, because I added something that should make this fly a really good skating fly, and cutthroat are known to love a dragged fly or a skated fly. And this should, based on my experiments in my backyard, this thing that I added to my tying should make this thing skate like a dream. All right, so funny quick story already. I made my way all the way to the top of this hole, all excited to use my skating fly coming back down, and I just flipped my USS unsinkable super skater into the top of the hole, and a big ass cutthroat surprised me and nailed it, and I overreacted with my big 13-foot spay rod and broke him off. So that was prototype number one. Fortunately, I had prototype number two tied on to my 6-weight, which now in my hand feels like an absolute featherweight. But because I'm mostly interested today in testing the skating ability of this fly, I'm not going to do what I normally would do, and that is make all of my casts for sweet dead drifts working up and then coming back. I want these fish to see the skater first. So I'm going to make my way back up there, and I'll turn the camera on when I get there. So I know from past experience that the camera probably isn't going to do justice to this, but you should see the amount of action on this fly. And even with it dragging in the water just straight downstream of me, because I haven't even moved a foot. I had another big fish come up and miss, but those wings are just like fluttering, and those rubber legs are dancing around. And the thing is, with this addition to the fly that I'll show, the more current it's in, the more it actually stays on the surface. So if you've watched any of my stuff, you look at that, that looks like pretty much from that angle, looks just like ordinary early season salmon fly setup. Now look at it from this angle, and what you see has been added is what's giving it all that action, and it's doing a magnificent job. It took me a while to figure out how to tie it on to keep that plane and to keep it in place, but literally all I'm doing right now is I am making little mini backhanded roll casts out to the heavy water, lifting my rod tip, and I'm letting that thing dance across the current. And even from my position, I can see those wings fluttering like crazy. And I have had two good fish come up and whack it. Both have missed. That's no big deal. But just like that, I mean, there's so many places on this river that are really hard to access, but more importantly, really hard to get a good dead drift on, because you can't get in your usual position where a dead drift is doable. On top of that, or add on top of that, the fact that westslope cutthroat, I mean, my experience, there was a little guy that came up and whacked at it, and it was on the skate, by the way, or on the drag, whatever you want to call it. But what I envision is one of these big wise fish. That was another hit. I think we're going to hook up here in a second. One of these big wise fish is going to come up and hit it, if for no other reason that we're early season, everybody's starving, they're in a time of change where the river is coming into shape and all these hatches are beginning. But yeah, look at how simple fishing this is. Just doing that little overhand and watching for that fly to come up and be skating on the surface. To be honest, the only thing I'm worried about right now is I don't want to overreact. If a really big if a really big fish comes up, I only have 4X on the end, brand new, start of the season 4X tapered leader. But there is so much action on this fly. It is just crazy. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's beyond my expectations. Not only that, but it's staying up on the surface as good as I could ask for too. So I can get a little dead drift component to it, and then that fly starts dancing,